I've taken the time to study the all-22 coaches film from the Bills' Week 13 win over the Niners, and I'm sharing my top takeaways with you today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of Go Bills and Buffalo's Run, also the co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. I want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. I'd also like to invite you to subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. Folks, welcome in. Time to share my top takeaways from studying the all-22 film. Bills-Niners 35-10 win for the Buffalo Bills. I want to focus in on the keys to the offensive success. Plenty of thoughts on the defense. A lot to say on Matt Milano's return. Taylor Rapp. We'll do studs and duds, snap counts, all kinds of stuff here. But I do want to start with the offensive side of the football and break down the keys to this rushing success. The Bills logged 220 rushing yards, over 6 yards per carry. If you take away the kneel downs by Mitch Trubisky at the end of the game. And I think the success was really rooted in the Bills' ability to attack the edges of the 49ers defense. A lot of success running off tackle, and the Bills used a collection of players in bunch sets, in tight alignments to the line of scrimmage that really helped open up rushing lanes. And that collection of players is Quentin Morris, Dawson Knox, Alec Anderson, and Mack Hollins. And I really want to shout out Mack Hollins because he did a lot of the stuff you typically see Dalton Kincaid do in the run game. Lined up as, really an inline tight end, at times a wing, just kind of behind the tackle or behind the tight end, really close to the line of scrimmage there. And the Bills relied on him to get key blocks on the edge, to win the edge, and create running lanes. James Cook's 65-yard touchdown is a great example of this, where you have guys like Khalil Shakir and Alec Anderson blocking down and washing away any pursuit from the 49ers, but also Mack Hollins has to drive block the corner to open up that lane so that James Cook can get free and sprint down the sideline for a touchdown. All of those guys did a really good job, and obviously the Bills' offensive line deserves a ton of credit. Spencer Brown, in particular, I thought had a really good game run blocking. But how those guys inserted themselves into the blocking surface and created lanes and were able to really win those blocks on the edge was, I think, really paramount to the Bills' success running the football. In this game, the Bills averaged 3.18 yards before contact per rushing attempt. And I think the success of Q Morris, Dawson Knox, Alec Anderson, Mack Hollins in particular, as that group that lived on the edges all day long and hit those key blocks, I think they deserve a major hat tip. That, and the Bills are a very multiple run scheme, and they can attack you a bunch of different ways, whether it's inside zone, outside zone, a lot of duo in this game, which is combo blocks to the second level. It's a very diverse run scheme. They're going to mix zone. They're going to mix gap. They're going to pull guys. They did some trap blocks in this game. So the diversity of the run scheme, the execution of the blocking, and then those four guys on the edges, that was your recipe for running the football. And then, of course, the back did a great job. All three of them did a really good job. James Cook, obviously the 65-yard touchdown run, but there were a couple of different plays where he's one-on-one in the hole with a linebacker, and he's able to shake him and make a miss and did some very good things. Ray Davis, very decisive, getting downhill, using his physicality, and obviously he's got a little bit of juice to him as well to challenge pursuit angles. Ty Johnson sprinkled in very effectively with some outside runs. So it's always, when you have that type of success, it's typically all of the above, but I thought those were some of the keys to it being as successful as it was. In the passing game, obviously not a ton of passing production. I think the Bills had 14 pass attempts, 18 dropbacks in total. The key to the passing success was really how good the protection was. Now, Josh Allen only pressured on 2 dropbacks in the game. In 18 total dropbacks, 2 pressures. That's it. And when you have that much time consistently to survey the defense in those elements with that footing, guys are going to uncover. And so the Bills did a lot in terms of mesh concepts and getting guys running across the field where it's going to require the 49ers defenders to be able to plant and drive and carry. It's difficult to do when you're trying to mirror with footing that can be challenging. And I think that was really critical. The 2 throws to Dawson Knox were probably my 2 favorite passing plays of the game. One of them, the Bills are backed up deep, right? 49ers get a great punt off. There's 97 yards in front of the Bills to score a touchdown. And that drive was maybe my favorite drive of the entire season for the Bills offense. Just the different buttons and levers that Joe Brady pushed and pulled to be able to sustain that drive. It was phenomenal. But the big play there was really the throw to Dawson Knox that got the Bills out of that situation. And it's just a seam shot where 2 defenders drive on the flat route. Nobody carries Knox. And Josh Allen starts his eyes to his left, and his ability to not only get his eyes back to Knox, but also avoid some pressure, was able to make Malik Collins miss and very quickly set his feet and get the ball out on a rope to Dawson Knox. He was wide open, but still a good job by Josh to get his eyes there and find a platform to get the ball down to him. Then later on, another seam shot to Dawson Knox where the Bills used the same concept that they ran to get the 4th and 2 conversion to Khalil Shakir as a mesh concept. And Khalil Shakir motion from one side to the other created a 4-strong alignment where you have 4 eligibles to Josh Allen's right in that particular play. And Khalil Shakir's part of this bunch set and a little bit of a delayed release into the mesh concept, and he was able to run free. But then the Bills used that again later on for the second completion to Knox, where they layered mesh with a sit rod over top. Zach Davidson with a very good clear out. It puts Dawson Knox in a situation where all you have to do is cross the face of the safety, and you're going to have leverage and a really nice window for Josh Allen to throw the football to. And obviously everything was executed to perfection. Really fun passing plays in regards to the 2 completions to Dawson Knox. I will say this, for as good as the pass protection was in this game, you could look at O'Cyrus Torrence as a player that struggled in pass protection. His run blocking was terrific. But this was a challenging game for him, and I think these elements are just harder for Torrence, and not because he's a guy that played college football in the Deep South, but because he's not a guy with a ton of foot quickness. And against the 49ers, like, they don't have big dudes on their defensive line in terms of the inside players, but they have quickness. And a guy like Malik Collins or a guy like Kevin Givens, those guys are very twitchy, and they really challenge Torrence's ability to slide and mirror and redirect. And there was a couple of instances where, Torrence got beat. Josh Allen made the guy miss in the pocket and actually was able to get some completions. But on the 2 pressures that Josh Allen did face, both of them you charged to O'Cyrus Torrence for getting beat. So if there was one chink in the armor, it was Torrence and being able to slide and be quick enough to stay square in pass protection on some more twitchy athletic defensive tackles. But Fun day for the offense, a lot of efficiency. I mean, they only ran 43 snaps with the starters, right? So the numbers, the volume numbers are still good, but you always have to keep that in mind. I mean, a lot of the production that's missing from this offense, when you look at Josh Allen's whatever in the league passing, how many times have the Bills stopped playing offense in the fourth quarter because half of their wins are by 21 points or more, right? That's going to take away from your volume stats. That's why the efficiency metrics like EPA just matter so much more and just tell you so much more of an important story as it relates to player performance. All right, we got offensive snap counts, and then we'll start talking defense on the other side of it. Folks, be sure to stick with me. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. All you do is pick more or less on at least two players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season on Prize Picks. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get money in as quick as 15 minutes. And Prize Picks now offers Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this sports season. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today. Use our code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, let's do these offensive snap counts, then we'll talk defense. The Bills ran 58 snaps offensively. Quarterbacks, Josh Allen, 74% of the snaps, like I mentioned, only 43 total snaps for the first team offense. Normally that number is 60, 70 snaps. So you're missing 17 to 30 snaps of normal offense when it comes to raw production. Mitch Trubisky, 26%. At running back, James Cook, 45%. Ray Davis, 33%. Ty Johnson, 28%. And that's obviously a little different than where the numbers fell against Kansas City. Ty Johnson was the back with the most or the highest percentage of snaps against Kansas City. That's a blitz aggressive team. The 49ers are not a blitz aggressive team. So you saw the snap counts a little bit different. At tight end, Dawson Knox, 48%. Q Morris, 41%. Zach Davidson, 26%. Alec Anderson, 30%. Like I said, a big part of the equation was Anderson as the utility blocker. I'll say this about Zach Davidson. The effort's outstanding. He plays really hard. Very intentional in executing his assignments, and I've really enjoyed him on special teams. I think his effort on special teams has been outstanding. And I think there's something infectious about watching him play where you just see a lot of juice, a lot of effort, a lot of strain. I like that. At wide receiver, Mack Hollins, 66%, but 11 of his snaps came as an inline tight end. Khalil Shakir, 50%. Amari Cooper, 47%. Curtis Samuel, 38%. Jalen Virgil, 15%. Let me comment on Jalen Virgil. The Bills signed him to the active roster a few weeks ago. And he's really come on as a gunner on the punt team. He's doing a really good job. Was able to get down the field and down that punt at the 5-yard line. But he's consistently won as a gunner. And his special teams overall has been really, really strong. And so just don't be surprised when this guy sticks around for a little bit as like a Tywan Jones type player for this football team that provides a lot of depth value for what he does as a 5th or 6th receiver on special teams. You can see he's got a really nice pedigree to do that. And it's showing up already. Offensive line, Osiris Torrance and Spencer Brown, they played every snap. McGovern, Edwards, and Dawkins, 74%. Alec Anderson played 55%, which includes his reps at left guard and his snaps at tight end. And then Ryan Vandemark and Cedric Van Pran-Granger, both 26%. So that's the offense. Let's talk defense. I know everyone's thinking about Matt Milano. How did he play? I thought Matt Milano got dramatically better as the game moved along. You watch this thing early on, and I thought he overran his run fit several different times. You saw issues with the Bills defending the run early on. I think you could point to Ed Oliver. We'll talk about that. And you can point to Matt Milano as guys that were just kind of out of sorts. I wouldn't say that he was over aggressive. I think it's just a matter of getting timing down in game action. And, sometimes he was a little bit flat on his angle, a little bit too sharp on his angle, and just wasn't able to get there. But legitimately, snap after snap, you just saw Milano get better and better and better throughout the game. Thought he had some really good moments in backside pursuit on some cutback runs. The discipline was outstanding where I love Dorian Williams. I love the trajectory that he's on, but you can see Dorian Williams just getting a little bit too washed on some of those cutback runs, and Milano stayed home and did a really good job of making a few plays. You saw some good click and close instances where, when Milano drives off that back foot and plants and goes, he can cover ground very, very quickly. And there's a lot of plays in me watching Matt Milano throughout his career where, a ball carrier doesn't really have any defenders around him. And as guys start to, close in on the ball carrier, Milano just gets there a little bit quicker than everyone else. Saw that show up a few times. Also, you're thinking about Milano and a bicep tear, and I paid a lot of attention to his ability to stack blocks and get off blocks. And then in terms of tackling, what type of technique was he using? And I saw several reps of him being very firm, taking on contact. And when he's tackling, I saw several reps of him being able to wrap low and just really hang on to ankles. And so I think that helped me ease any concerns that he'd have to play differently with him coming off of this bicep injury. And you got the full Matt Milano experience, including a missed tackle that resulted in a touchdown for the 49ers, right? The only touchdown that the 49ers scored. Creative little misdirection play. It's a run that it kind of looks like a pass, but it's backwards. So point being, getting off tackle to the left, and Matt Milano, good angle, whiffed on the tackle, right? And that's Milano, right? Milano misses tackles. It's been part of his career. I love Matt Milano, but he's certainly not immune to a whiff in space. So you got the full Matt Milano experience in this game. I'll say this. I'm encouraged, really encouraged with how he played in this game, how he got better throughout it. If you're part of our Substack, you got the article on Monday night of me breaking down clips from this game, over 30 minutes of commentary, me breaking down clips. And I had probably 5 different Milano plays that I highlighted to show exactly these things that I'm talking about. So if you want to see that film, join the Substack. There's a link in today's show notes that'll get you access to the Substack. You could check out that 30-minute file and watch me break down a bunch of plays from this game. I do that after every Bills game. Great incentive to join the Substack. Some other things here with Matt Milano. He played a good amount. He played every non-dime snap. What's dime? That's 6 defensive backs. So the Bills still played the dime defense that they've been doing without Milano. But he played a lot. And it says a lot of different things. First of all, it says that stop asking about 3 linebackers because it ain't happening. It ain't happening. If there ever was a game where the Bills were going to play 3 linebackers, it's that one. Run-heavy offense in San Francisco, in the elements. They play big personnel. Matt Milano's first game back. You have Dorian Williams as a developing young player. If they were going to put 3 linebackers on the field, they'd have done it in that game. Also, I do wonder how much commitment the Bills have to this dime defense. They ran it a good bit in this game where they take off a linebacker. In this instance, Milano, bring in Cam Lewis. It's been a pretty effective personnel grouping. Was it just a matter of we want to limit Milano in some capacity, this is the best way to do it? Or do they love this idea of playing Cam Lewis as this dime defensive back with regularity like they have all season this year? And then, of course, last year wound up being Taylor Rapp. I wonder what the appetite is, but it certainly feels like it's more likely the Bills are going to play a lot of dime than they are going to lean into 3 linebacker sets. Now, we'll see. The Rams are 11 personnel. That's what they've always run. 3 receivers, 1 tight end. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of dime next week, or a lot of 3 linebacker opportunities against the Rams, but that could be different against the Lions. Play a lot of big people, a lot of multiple tight end sets multi-back set, so we'll obviously pay attention to that. All right, I have a lot more to say. I want to talk Taylor Rapp. I want to talk run defense, Christian Benford, defensive snap count, studs and duds. Folks, be sure to stick with me. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if you win. A FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's over at FanDuel.com. Some fun props you can check out right now regarding the Bills. Josh Allen is the favorite to be the NFL MVP. That's at -280. If you're looking ahead to this Rams game, right now, Buffalo is a 4.5-point road favorite in Los Angeles, and this one's really tasty to me. The over-under right now for Bills-Rams is 49.5. I feel good about the under. I don't know that the Rams are going to score enough for that to get to 50 points. I mean, even if the Bills go out there and score 30, 35 points, I don't know if the Rams are going to do their job. So that'll be interesting to see. I like the under there. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, folks, welcome back in. Let's talk a little more defense, defensive snap counts, and studs and duds. The voice felt pretty good at the start of this recording, and boy, am I struggling here towards the end. So bear with me as I continue to kind of work through some allergies and some throat soreness. I want to talk about Taylor Rapp. This game against San Francisco was emblematic of the season that he's had to this point. Really clutch tackles that force the offense to continue executing and not get an explosive play. And then, of course, a huge takeaway. The shoestring tackle for Christian McCaffrey, the forced fumble at the goal line on Kyle Juszczyk, took 14 points off the board for the 49ers. It's a big deal in this game. And I think he's become such an important player, a good starter for this team. And his journey with the Bills has been pretty fascinating. You guys know I've been in on Taylor Rapp for a long time. And I was excited when the Bills signed him last offseason. And I actually wanted the Bills to sign him last offseason to replace Jordan Poyer. I didn't think Jordan Poyer would be back in 2023. And obviously, we saw how it played out. And I thought early in the season, Taylor Rapp had some challenges. But I think what gets lost in the journey that he had last year was how much better he got towards the end. Just literally got better and better and better. And obviously, Sean McDermott and company saw enough in Taylor Rapp to take the 1-year modest deal, and they signed him to a 3-year, $10.6 million extension this offseason. And that's looking like a really good decision. He's had a good season. I mean, he's only missing 3% of tackles. That's unbelievably strong in terms of missed tackle rate. In coverage this year, he's been targeted 17 times. He's given up 9 catches for 114 yards, 2 interceptions. That's a passer rating of 34.6 against his coverage. Dude's having a great year. He's on a great contract, and he looks like he's going to be a really important piece of this defense. He is an important piece of this defense and will continue for a few more seasons at least. And it's funny how things can change. And just another example of the necessity to have patience with players and how they acclimate and develop, because this was not a popular player among the fan base at all last year and even early to start this year. I think people had it out for Taylor Rapp because of some of the friendly fire, and Taron Johnson breaks his forearm, and I'm not sure what Taylor Rapp was supposed to do on that tackle attempt. But he's taking a lot of heat, and he's turned into one heck of a starter for this defense. Obviously, there were some leaky runs in this game. I would put a lot of that on issues with footing. It's tough to anchor when you're in snow. And San Francisco does a very good job of creating advantageous blocking angles. So it's not that you're just having to play head on with the guy and not let him move you. It's usually guys that are coming from a side that have a good angle to get into the block and run their feet and move you out of the way. And obviously both teams had to deal with that. And I think both offensive units did a good job with their blocking to create displacement and create running lanes. I thought early on in the game, it was really where some of the run defense issues showed up. And I thought it was a lot of second level over pursuit type stuff. And I think Ed Oliver played very poorly against the run. He was the guy that had the most issues with staying rooted and staying fit. I mean, he was the guy that got washed out of the way too many times. In fact, I'd say Daquan Jones, Austin Johnson, and Jordan Phillips did a pretty good job here of being firm at the point of attack. Meanwhile, Ed Oliver is just on a slip and slide. So I thought the run defense settled in. 49ers wound up having 153 yards rushing, and that production to me is completely empty. Completely empty. They scored 10 points. We'll see how these next few games go, because I think the Lions have the right ingredients, the Rams have the right ingredients to run the football, and then we know what the Lions can do. So we'll get some more clarity on what this run defense is over the next couple of weeks. Got to talk a little Christian Benford here. Just plays well every week, and the pass breakup that he had on Jawan Jennings was so good. Textbook stuff, zone coverage, stay leveraged over top, read the backfield, drive into the catch point, play through the hands, punch out the football. It's textbook stuff over and over and over again. And when you can play with textbook technique consistently, and it just shows up like it's second nature, you got a special player. And what's just natural to him, that is teach tape, it just impresses me every week. So let's do a little shout out here. 11 games so far this year for Christian Benford. He's given up 180 yards in coverage. That's it, in 11 games. He has 7 games where he's given up less than 10 yards. 7 of 11 games, he's given up less than 10 yards. He's given up no yards 3 times. 1 yard once, 3 yards, 7 yards, and 9 yards. Then his other 4 games, he gave up 23 yards, 25 yards, 31 yards, and the most he gave up all year was 81 against the Jets, where they just threw the ball to Garrett Wilson a million times. Oh, by the way, he's phenomenal at tackling. 2.3% missed tackle rate. Very aggressive run defender. Stud. Total stud. Defensive snap counts. The Bills played 48 snaps of defense. Greg Rousseau will do defensive ends first. Greg Rousseau, 79%. AJ Epinesa, 54%. Rousseau is awesome, by the way. Had a sack. Should have had 2 more. Fumble recovery. 4 run stops. The dude shows up every week. Best defensive lineman on this team. Anyways, Greg Rousseau, 79%. AJ Epinesa, 54%. Von Miller, 42%. Casey Tuhill, 25%. Defensive tackle, Ed Oliver, 71%. Daquan Jones, 50%. Quentin Jefferson, 33%. That's a big jump. Last game against the Chiefs, only 2 snaps. Played a lot more in this one. Austin Johnson, 25%. Jordan Phillips, 21%. At linebacker, Terrell Bernard played 100%, and Matt Milano played 77%. At corner, Johnson, Benford, Douglas, 100%. At safety, Hamlin and Rapp 100%, with Cam Lewis 23%. So still a healthy amount of dime, 23% dime in this game, which is right where they've been. They've been right at about 20% all season long when it comes to percentage of snaps and dime. Time for studs and duds. I've got a robust list of studs. Josh Allen, stud. I mean, do we have to really get into it? In the elements, counted for 4 touchdowns, the first quarterback in the history of the league to have a rushing, receiving, and passing touchdown in the same game. That I think that 3rd and 6 run, I don't think we're talking enough about it. He was able to be really physical and extend a drive, and I think the offense really turned at that moment where Josh Allen made, I thought he sent the message to everybody that he was there to play. I thought everything woke up after that moment, because the Bills' offense, I think in the first 6-7 snaps, I thought they were a little clunky. They turned it on though. I thought that was a spark. James Cook's a stud, over 100 yards rushing, 65-yard touchdown was massive for the momentum of the game. Ray Davis is a stud, closed the thing out, got the scoring started, provided physicality in the run game. Quentin Morris, I want to give him a stud here. Had that 14-yard catch that I thought was another big play to jumpstart the offense, but then the blocking effort was really, really strong. Mack Hollins, I mean, what more can you say about this guy? Receiving touchdown, but then taking on that Kincaid blocking role was a big deal in this one. Dawson Knox, outstanding run blocking, led the team in receiving 2 huge plays down the field. Daquan Jones, thank you. He needed a game like this where he was able to really be firm and take care of his business. Taylor Rapp, that one's obvious. Greg Rousseau, like I said, a sack, should have had 2 more. Fumble recovery, 4 run stops. Christian Benford. Want to give Brandon Codrington a stud here. He had a really good game as a punt returner. Should have had a 75-yard touchdown. Not easy to perform in those conditions as a UDFA. Your first snow game. You played your college ball at North Carolina Central. Nice shot, Brandon Codrington. Sam Martin, all 3 punts, outstanding. And Jalen Virgil. His effort on special teams continues to show up. He got the fumble recovery as well on that kick return. Only one dud. It's Ed Oliver. He got washed out of the way, unlike any other defensive tackle did in this game. And so, if everyone else can anchor against the run to a reasonable level, you shouldn't be on skates the whole time. It was not a good game for Ed Oliver. So there you have it. The All-22 review for Bills-Niners in the books. Coming up next, herd mentality. We'll do that for our next conversation. Then it's time to get ready for the Rams. We'll have crossover Thursday, the primer, final thoughts, injuries, predictions. You know what we got going on. Don't miss it. Make sure that you're subscribed. Check out the Substack. There's a link in today's show notes. I think you'll like that a lot. As always, I kindly ask that you share, subscribe, rate, and review. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills. And I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.